Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Rihanna.
Do you remember 2022?
Honestly, no. It's all a blur.
So, back in 2022, one major event was the death and subsequent funeral of Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh my God, yes, that was 2022. Shut up.
You had all kinds of important people in attendance. You had royal family members, you had state officials, and every one of them, without exception, was expected to stick to a dress code. One couple did not do that.
Oh, who failed the fashion test?
I'm going to show you a picture. Please proceed with caution. Okay, these images might be considered offensive or
no.
disrespectful to some.
Oh boy. Oh, it's a funeral. Oh my God, it's a funeral for a queen. Oh, who missed the memo?
That's Emmanuel Macron and his wife Bridget. Can you describe what they're wearing?
The president of France has on a very lovely scarf situation and really a very well-tailored jacket. This jacket is like the business. I salute this. And he has on a very nice pair of slacks, but he looks like he's wearing a T-shirt underneath the jacket, and he's got on sneakers.
It's the sneakers.
And his partner also has on a very similar look, but like her pants stop at the ankles, and she is doing sneakers, no socks, which fail.
This was the day before the funeral, and really, it was just like a walking around outfit. They didn't pay their respects in sneakers. And, you know, that might seem like not a big deal, but these funerals take place at the end of like a 10-day mourning period, and during that time, you're expected to wear black, formal attire. Sneakers are way too casual for that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of cash going on here.
Some might say it's business casual.
No. No. Okay, there's a limit. There's a limit. There were other...
This week, we're talking about what you wear and when you wear it to finally answer the question of what is business casual. All right, Lynn. This is a list of clothing items. You tell me if it qualifies as business casual in your beautiful mind.
Okay, let's go for it.
Khakis.
Not business casual.
Not business casual.
I'm biased. What? You never...
There's a
This
difference.
is not a show about objectivity. That's for my other job, okay?
All right, okay. Jeans.
Yes.
Yes, jeans, no
Yes,
khakis.
Yes, jeans, because you can get jeans that look like trousers. Straight leg jeans are my personal fave. Skinny jeans are not, so no to the skinnies. But straight leg and wide leg jean trousers, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, jeans. What about sneakers?
No.
No sneakers.
No.
What if it's like a really nice...
No, there's no such thing. Those loafer sneaker things are the ugliest I have ever seen. Those things that men wear where you can't figure out, it's like they try to play it off like it's like a business shoe,
like
but
a
it has
boat
like
shoe.
a rubber shoe.
You're out on the
Boat
yacht?
shoes are boat shoes. These hybrid sneaker loafers situations, no.
No, okay. This can go kind of back and forth. It kind of begs the question when we talk about business casual, what is too business for casual and what is too casual for business? According to wardrobe analyst Christine Marie, it depends where you work.
You know, we think business casual should be a button-down dress shirt. And I don't think that professionalism necessarily means lack of personality. I think that it just means considering what's appropriate and what's practical for the work that you're doing. You know, for example, I love a white pant. I work with hair color. They don't go together.
I met Christine at her salon here in Tallahassee. In addition to her offering hair services, she also makes her living helping people decide what to wear.
If you can't care enough about what you're presenting, how do I know that you're going to care about your work? And that's where first impressions do matter. You're telling me, as the interviewer, how much you care. I think that we've given a lot more permission to accepting our bodies the way that they are. And I think now the next step is navigating, like, how do I dress in a way that honors my body and honors my company, not even your business, but the people that you're around, because, you know, you're not going to go have brunch with your grandmother, you know, in a way that she would deem disrespectful. Not if you respect your grandma.
I think intuitively we all understand what we don't expect to see when it comes to the workplace. So, not too much skin, no toes, nothing too tight or distressed or stained, hopefully not wrinkled, at least not too severely.
On the toes thing, we live in Florida, but you get the gist.
We know what business casual isn't, but we still haven't answered what business casual is.
This remains an ongoing point of contention, right? I remember we were just having a conversation with our WFSU Community Council, and I was telling them about this topic, and one member of our council, who's very well established in our community, was like, I still don't know what business casual is, which goes to show that no matter what your age, maybe no matter what your profession, certain things are just left up to the mysteries of the world.
One thing that you can always do is look your best, no matter what. And that's one piece of advice that I got from Christine Marie.
I do think that when we feel good about the way we look, we work better. We shop as a form of entertainment. We shop as a form of escape. We shop because something's on sale. We shop because we're going somewhere and we think we need a new outfit. We shop for vacation. We shop for work. We shop for the gym. We shop for this. We shop for that. And all of a sudden we have 5 different wardrobes for different things, and none of them are cohesive. And then we have so many clothes that we can't even find anything in our closets. So the point is actually not to have a professional wardrobe and a casual wardrobe. The point is to have a wardrobe. You know, if you were, and this is funny, so if you were to bake a cake, if you were to find a recipe to bake a cake, what's the first thing you do? You go in your cabinets and you see what you have. Do I have flour? Do I have sugar? Do I have baking powder, soda, so forth? And then what do? You make a list. You go to the grocery store and you get those things and you come back and you bake a cake. But when we shop, we don't know what's in our cabinets. We don't know what we're shopping for. We're going out and we're coming home with like Tostitos and salsa, and we're not baking any cakes. So take inventory of your closet before you step into a store. Go through your closet and pull out your like this is my favorite, and put those on your bed. Maybe 10 items. And then with those 10 items, create a couple outfits with those 10 items on your bed. And then everything else, pack it away. And just live on the things that are a hell yeah. And then you're probably going to feel like you can breathe a little bit because it creates mental space.
For our extended episode this week, I continued my investigation into exactly what is business casual by sitting down with fashion historian Rachel Gross, who's based here out of Tallahassee, to get a sense of how fashion went from frocks and tailcoats to potentially wearing jeans or khakis in the office.
You know, things have gotten more and more casual over the years. The suit used to be a 3-piece affair. If you think back to the Restoration or the Enlightenment era, those short pants on men with the fancy brocade jackets and coats, I mean, that evolved into the 3-piece suit that we think of, the double-breasted overcoat with the waistcoat or vest underneath and suit pants. Then it became, you know, just a suit coat or a sport coat and pants. And now we have, you know, not even a full suit.
In my research for this episode, the suit was definitely one of those turning points for formal wear in fashion history that came up a lot, specifically the shift from white tie to black tie, where black tie used to be considered an informal thing that you wouldn't wear out in front of polite company.
Right. But even just not wearing a hat. I mean, there was a time when not wearing a hat or not wearing gloves was thought to be like improprietous. You know, it was a huge deal. And then there's some people who believe that JFK's, he did not wear a hat to his inauguration. And people have said that that's, you know, possibly the end of the hat.
That's funny because I read that JFK was also the last president who wore white tie to a presidential inauguration. And people kind of associate that shift in trends to conditions of the wars that we had in the early 20th century. And something you talk about is fashion being downstream of history and culture in that way.
It's absolutely fascinating how much of our culture goes into our clothing, how much of our technology, our shared cultural history. I mean, it, sort of silly, but it always comes out in the wash. You can always find everything in the clothing. And the Second World War had a major impact, not just on the style of clothing, the global economy, and pretty much anywhere in the world. Ready to wear clothing, clothing that you can purchase pre sized off the rack, has barely been around for 150 years. We've only been making ready to wear clothing since about the Civil War. But after this First World War and then the Second World War, um, we really blew up in terms of manufacturing clothing at a mass market price point.
Did professional fashion also evolve with these technological and cultural changes?
Yeah, so women entering the workforce, which does start obviously before the Second World War, but it became really common after the war. Having women in the office, I mean, the idea of the wrap dress came in the 1970s with Diane von Furstenberg. And, the idea of wearing jersey to an office would have been like scandalous, the 1920s or 30s. By the 40s, 50s, and 60s, we're all set up for that. There's the youth quake, which happens again post World War II. That really was the first time that clothing was focused on youth, when the ideal was focused on teenagers, very young adults. And the response to that became more formality in the 80s and 90s. You got all those big boxy shoulders, all the oversized but very grown up, not like adult, but grown up looking clothing for, an adult person.
Yeah, I never thought about it before, but I feel like people often misconstrue fashion history as being sort of a linear progression from less functional to more functional. But I feel like shoulder pads were the opposite of that.
I mean, that's one of my favorite places to explore. There's this overlap between utility and aesthetic, right? Function and form. And it's a very interesting place to look because, I mean, yes, clothing now is probably more functional in some ways, but we don't have pockets still, right? Like that's a meme every day online.
It seems like your theory of fashion history that you've laid out is that fashion often sort of revolves around these big cultural, sometimes global events. How would you say that the pandemic might fit into that, especially when it comes to business casual or professional wear, and a lot of people having worked from home and getting to wear elasticized waistbands and finding that to be comfortable? Do you think that's one of those things that will project into the future?
I think we go back and forth. I think you're right. Like the pandemic, people being comfortable wearing pajama pants or leggings or yoga, whatever, all the time. And yes, it's super easy. And I think that is the appeal to it, right? But if we do anything long enough and far enough and deep enough, we want the opposite from it. People have been saying, trend forecasters have been saying, we're going to get more formal. And I think that that's true. And everything's an oscillation in fashion, extreme to extreme to extreme.
Thanks for listening to Speaking Of, the Unbothered edition from WFSU Public Media. New episodes drop each Thursday, and they're available wherever you get your podcasts. Speaking Of is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation.